Hi, this is Scott Dudley, and welcome to Funnel Fella Radio episode number 16. And today we're going to be taking a look at call to actions. So, one thing I see a lot when working on client funnels is pages that have weak or almost non existent calls to action. And if your page has an objective, and really every funnel page should have some sort of objective, it doesn't necessarily have to be to get someone to opt in or to purchase something. Sometimes you might want them to simply to click on a link or to fill out a survey. But every funnel page should have an objective. But what I was getting to was that then you have to make it as clear as possible what you want them to do. But not only that, but you also have to make it clear how they do it, because sometimes when you have a button or a link, it's not really 100% clear on exactly what they need to do for what you want them to do. Okay, because otherwise you're just throwing money down the drain and only have yourself to blame for poor response rates if you're making it difficult or confusing for your prospects or customers to take the action that you want them to. So this week I take a look at another case study from VWO, Visual Website Optimizer, which is fantastic software. And by making the call to action much easier to see and understand, conversions on the page improved by 32% in this case study that I'm about to show you. So this is a case study of a company called Vineyard. And if we just click over onto the page, this one here, you have to actually opt in to get access to the case study, which I've already done. And this is the PDF over here. So having a look at Vineyard Hotel, as you may have guessed, the industry that they're in is travel and tourism, being a hotel. Company size is between 51 and 200, so it's still a pretty reasonable sized company without being massive. They're in the UK, and in this particular test, what was used was some A/B testing. So the Vineyard is a luxury hotel located in Berkshire. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. About an hour from central London. In addition to luxurious accommodation, the hotel offers great food and large selection of fine wines. So the hotel hired a company called Splice Marketing, who have changed their name now to Essex SEO, to optimize the site for search and improve conversion rate of its website. So just for a bit of context, Splice Marketing is a VWO client, so they use VWO for their split testing and also for optimization as well, all sorts of optimization. So the objective in this particular case study was to increase click-throughs to the room booking page to book the hotel, obviously, to book the room for the hotel. So yeah, they wanted to increase the number of visits to their room booking page. So basically here, the solution that they came up with was that they needed to make the call to action more visible to visitors. And you won't be able to see this if you're listening to this on the podcast or through audio. But basically, the original page has a photograph, a large photograph up the top, which is full width of the screen. It's got a photograph of the room with the bed in there. And then underneath there, it's got a headline of "Stay with us," which, to be honest, is a pretty weak headline. And then some text about the room. And then right down the very bottom of the page this is in small print too. It says, "For prices and availability, book online or call us on," and then it's got the phone number. And the book online is a hyperlink in, I don't know, purple or maroon colored text. And then on the right hand side of the text, it's got some links to some of the other rooms. So all I've got there is just the one little tiny call to action down the bottom there. And it looks like on the average laptop or computer that you'd need to scroll down to actually see this call to action. So it's not even above the fold. And if you're on a mobile phone, then you'd have to scroll right down to the very bottom. And because there's quite a fair bit of text, it would be a lot of scrolling before you actually get to the link where it says book online. And it's just a link, it's just a hyperlink. There's no button, and the text is small font. Okay, so what they're saying here is the Splice team noted that the call to action book online was almost hidden at the end of the page, where it was hardly like to be noticed by visitors and prospective customers. So this is pretty obvious, really. The team decided to make the call to action more visible to visitors so that it would attract their attention. The hypothesis was that more visitors would click on a call to action that was prominently visible on the homepage. Well, yeah, of course it would. The team created a call to action button with the text that says book online, which is the same text as what was on the hyperlink originally. But the call to action button was prominently placed on the page. The F-shaped eye movement pattern would ensure that visitors read book online right after they have read Stay With Us, which Stay With Us was the main headline. So the call to action button used the same maroon, or maroon, however you want to pronounce it, color in the original design. This was the variation page created and A/B tested. All right, so having a look at the variation that they created, it's basically exactly the same, with the picture of the hotel room with a bed up the top there, and then it's got the headline with Stay to Us with the text underneath it. They've still got the book online call to action at the very bottom there with the hyperlink, but on top of that they added a large button, and it says book online in capital letters. So that's a pretty good, the text is pretty good there. As far as book online, I mean, that's pretty obvious and straightforward. But the most important thing here is that you can actually see the call to action, and this would be visible above the fold without having to scroll down, and you can see it instantly. So for anybody that had made up their mind pretty quickly that, yes, I want to book this hotel, they can see it straight away, they can click on it, and then they can book their room. So the conclusion here was a 32.12% increase in click-throughs to the room booking page, which is pretty decent, with a near perfect 99.99% chance to beat the original. The result was on expected lines because a page with a large, clearly visited call to action button added above the fold should have always done better than one where the call to action was near invisible. Well, that's exactly right. It's pretty obvious too, really. I'm surprised they even needed to hire a conversion optimization company to figure that out, to be honest. I mean, and then at the very bottom here, it's got a comparison of the two pages, and just looking at them side by side, the one with the button stands out so much more than the original page. So it's little wonder why this made such a difference. So apart from the obvious outcome of boosting online bookings, the value of this A/B test also lay in the fact that it demonstrated to the hotel's owners and managers the value of conversion rate optimization. Well, yeah, exactly. This was an important learning because from our experience at VWO, often it's organisational resistance that comes in the way of making changes to the website that can optimise conversions. Well, that's a fair point as well. But yeah, it still amazes me that the hotel company didn't think of this in the first place, because it's just super obvious. So to summarize that, one thing they could have also tested next would be the button colors. So in this particular case, the maroon button on the page does tend to blend in with the rest of the page a bit. I can't help but be curious how a bright green button would do instead. So that's another thing to keep in mind as well. You want to also try to create as much contrast as possible, and the bright green would immediately be noticeable and provide contrast to the rest of the page. So if we just have another look at it here, the maroon coloured button does blend in with the Stay With Us headline and also with the hyperlink for Book Online down the bottom there, and it sort of blends into the rest of the page as well a bit. If that button had been bright green, then it would hit you as soon as your eyes land on the page. So I mean, you can never assume anything, but I'm certain that would be well worth testing as well. They could have also tested the button text as well. The current call to action of Book Online is not bad, but I'm sure with continual testing of both button color and text, they could get the page converting even better. So yeah, again, that's a good point. I mean, as I've said, the Book Online text is not bad, but who's to say that they couldn't improve on that by using a different call to action text. And just finally, on top of that, they could have also had two buttons instead of one, with one below the main image and then the other one at the very bottom. So instead of having that hyperlink at the bottom still with the text, they could have added two buttons, one button at the bottom, one button at the top, so that way you can always see either of the buttons. And then the other option as well would be to add a third button on an exit pop as well. So if somebody shows exit intent, then a pop-up appears and it has the button with the call to action on there. And that would basically provide a last chance opportunity for people that, you know, haven't taken action on the page yet to click on it. I mean, it certainly wouldn't hurt conversions, because if they're already going to leave the page, they're already going to leave the page. But if you add that third button there, then a small percentage of people will click on that button, and then you would also increase conversions as well. So, I mean, in my opinion, pretty much every page should have an exit pop on there. A lot of people have mixed sort of views on pop-ups. I think pop-ups that pop up after a few seconds where somebody's visited the page, they can be very distracting and annoying, particularly if they keep popping up and keep appearing and you can't get rid of them. Obviously that creates friction and frustration. But as far as the exit intent goes, if they're going to leave the page anyway, why not show the pop-up, give them one last chance. Maybe you can even make a different offer on the pop-up. You can maybe throw in a discount coupon as well, an extra incentive. It's the last chance to grab somebody. So if you're using software such as ClickFunnels or something that has the functionality of exit pops, then pretty much for every single page, I recommend that you add the exit pop. But anyway, that's just my opinion. So that's pretty much all we've got for today. Hopefully that was valuable, and I'll catch up with you next time. Bye for now.